You right?
No, I'm right.
It's off the road. My practice is always to wait for all the participants when you have a jury verdict that comes back. Most of the time, folks have spread out and gone to do some things. We're going to wait for everyone that was involved in this case to arrive before we bring the jury in. That's the reason for the delay, so if everyone will be patient and sit tightly, please. While we're waiting on the last one or two folks to arrive, let me again reiterate one thing, and that is these folks that have been chosen that come here on the jury are serving us, even though this is not their home county, and therefore they deserve our respect, and that means that we need to respect their decision, whatever it may be. So if there's anyone here, I know this is an emotional case. I certainly understand anyone having the type of emotional reaction they might to a verdict. But if you cannot control yourself to prevent an outburst, then you need to leave now and watch this verdict from the downstairs jury assembly room, where it will be live streamed and you can watch it in real time. Otherwise, it's certainly welcome to be here and to observe what the jury does, but I would appreciate it if, depending on what they do, we may have another stage to go, and we don't want to do anything that's going to create problems for us and going beyond that. So I thank you for your cooperation. While we're waiting, is there any reason we cannot bring, since I have ruled, let's bring chairs over here, 4 chairs over here, and place them in the front of this jury box, please. Yeah, we have everyone here now. One more. When the jury is brought in, it is my intention to, so that everyone's on the same page, take my copy of the verdict form and to go through it page by page to ask how they report as to each verdict. All right, then I think we have everyone now. What I'm first going to do is ask the 4 alternates to be brought in and place on these 4 chairs on the front, and then we'll go from there. This is what you call a Houston County staple puller. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your cooperation. The jury has informed us that they have reached a verdict, and I thought you should be in here when that verdict is announced, all right? Now we are ready for the 12 jurors who have reached a verdict. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's my understanding that you have reached a verdict on all 10 counts. Is that correct? Is the foreman or forelady here among us? Could you please indicate who you are? Mr. McGuire, if you will hand your verdict form to the bailiff and let me examine it before, and then I'll have you read the verdict of the jury. I'll pass this back to the juror. And our foreman. I'm going to go through them with you individually. If you will refer, if you would just stand and announce the verdict that you have received, you will not be shown on camera. So, all right, as to count one of the indictment, the charge of false report, can you tell me how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
As to count 2, premeditated first-degree murder, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
As to felony murder, first-degree murder, felony murder on count 3, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
As to count 4, theft of property, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
As to count 5, theft of property, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
As to count 6, criminal impersonation, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And as to count 7, criminal impersonation, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Count 8, tampering with evidence, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And count 9, arson, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
And count 10, abuse of a corpse, how does the jury find?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, is this the unanimous verdict of all 12 of you who decided this case? May you affirm by raising your hand. Let the record reflect all 12 jurors have affirmed the verdict. As the 13th juror, this court affirms that verdict as well. And ladies and gentlemen, so that you may understand, our 4 members that were not chosen to be on the 12 have been retained as alternates for the next stage, so that we can determine whether or not that might be necessary in the event of an emergency, which means that they will necessarily be separated from you, and they will be unable to discuss the case with you or with anyone else or among themselves. So I would remind you that your discussions about this case may only take place among the 12 of you when you are in the jury room during your deliberations. The next phase that we'll be moving to will be what we call the punishment phase. We talked about it during jury selection so that you understand what your three choices of punishments are going to be. Those are going to be life with the possibility of parole after serving 51 years. Life, this is as to the two counts 2 and 3 that we're considering here. Those are the only two that you will be asked to impose a sentence. The other is life in prison with no possibility of parole, and the third is the imposition of the death penalty. We would normally have a sentencing hearing, and that both sides have requested an opportunity to prepare for that after. Just keep in mind that we've been going now, this is the 9th day that we have been involved, those of us who are involved in the law, legal aspect of it, the lawyers and my staff and myself have been, this is 9 days that we've been doing it. I realize you've been doing it a long time too. But what we're going to do is we're going to recess. Is tomorrow afternoon one sufficient time for you, or do you need further than that?
Can we approach?
You may. Ladies and gentlemen, let me get off the record. Hold on. Does this need to be on the record or off? All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, nothing mysterious about what we've done. What we're trying to determine is how to proceed from here. None of us always know, and no one certainly can presume what a jury may do in regards to a case like this. And as a result, this next phase is going to be obviously very important, and both sides need time to prepare. You've been going now for 4 days in a row, so we're going to give you a day off tomorrow. And we'll come back on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock to begin the sentencing phase. So you will, when you are transported, our 4 jurors that are alternates are going to be transported separately from you. They will be at the same hotel, but they're not going to be able to be discussed with you, and they'll be, kept separately from. You have to treat them like you would anyone else that's not a part of this. They're going to be sitting in on the sentencing hearing the same as you in the event. They'll hear everything you hear, and I'm speaking as though you're not here, but those of you on the front row are going to hear everything just the same as the 12 behind us, and that way, if there is a need to substitute one of you, there is a procedure we can go by that will allow that to happen, and you'll have the same information. So you're still a very essential part of this trial. So keep in mind your oath to refrain from researching or doing anything about this or talking with anyone. Just know that you are essential to us. So, all right. Then, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask that the 4 in the front go ahead with Officer Howell and go back to your holding area, and then we will take the other jurors out, and we will I'll see you on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock to begin the sentencing. Try to get some rest and relaxation. Are they at the park this weekend? Well, we'll make arrangements for you to be fed well out there where you're going to stay anyway. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, you may wait a few moments to make sure that we've got the 4 alternates down in their spot before we transmit you. Officer Trowell, as soon as Officer Howell, we know as soon as he's finished, there he is. All right, we're ready to transport them over to their, all right, if you'll step across the hall, then thank you for your cooperation. I did that, but I'll tell them again. So I'll step over there and talk about it. I did state on the record that they couldn't discuss this case at all.
Yeah, because we couldn't have enough play.
All right, with that being the verdict of the court and moving to the sentencing phase of this case, as on the record then, let's deal with counts 10 and 11, I'm sorry, 11 and 12 dealt with the defendant being charged as a felon in possession, a convicted felon in possession of a handgun. We had discussed having a separate trial on those two counts. What is the state's position?
The state moves.
I muted your table. All right. I don't know if it's table 1 or table 2. So. All right, try it now.
Now, the state moves to sever those two counts from this proceeding.
Defense have any objection to that, Mr. Evans?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, then those two counts will be severed from this proceeding to be tried at a later date if necessary. That will streamline our process so that we do not have to have another mini trial, so to speak, just as to those two counts. And we will now proceed directly to the sentencing phase of this case. That will begin at 9 o'clock in the morning. Again, anyone who is interested in this case, feel free to appear. There's also going to be live streaming downstairs in the jury assembly room if you would like to spread out a little more. And with that, I believe unless there's something else, we will adjourn court. Is there anything else? We do need to have the defense is going to need to give notice about their intention regarding mental health evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. We'll need the opportunity to speak with Mr. Wiggins in light of the verdict, and then we should be able to get that
All right.
notice out promptly.
Judge, to clarify, 9 o'clock Saturday evening.
Yes. And we'll go Saturday as long as it's comfortable. We will not go on Sunday. We will instead then resume on Monday if we do not conclude. And it's my understanding that the sentencing phase of this could take anywhere from at least 3 to 4 days. Is that correct? How long do you anticipate how long the state's proof may be?
3 hours.
And then I believe you said it could take several days for yours.
Yes, Your Honor. Your initial estimation, I think, is appropriate.
So anywhere from 3 to 4 days for the sentencing phase of this before the jury begins deliberating on that part. All right, then we will adjourn until 9 o'clock Saturday morning. Thank you.
All rise. This court is adjourned.
Recording stopped.
should. You absolutely should.
You would have come back in 30 minutes, but I'm not thinking.
I know you need a hug from me. Absolutely, I do. Open feet. You already know. It shall go. I don't know if they might want us to help get some stuff out. Maybe we'll